The US just approved a $346 million arms deal with Nigeria.
The U.S. State Department has approved a potential $346 million sales of ammunition, precision bombs, and precision rockets to Nigeria.
The president of Nigeria today speaking out, portraying his nation as under attack from Islamist militants. But despite growing national and international anger,
the U.S. State Department has approved the proposed sale of munitions and precision-guided bombers to Nigeria worth $346 million.
And this time, it's not just another shipment of weapons, because this time the deal contains thousands of precision bombs, laser-guided rockets, and high-tech munitions. They say it's to help fight terrorism, but that's only half part of the story. Because this deal comes at a strange time. Nigeria's Air Force has been under fire for bombing civilians by mistake. Its president is still tied to an old drug case from his time in the US, and nearby countries are no longer working with the West. Some have kicked out US troops, others are now working with Russia instead. So why is the US still going all in on Nigeria? What's it really trying to protect? The fight on the ground or something far bigger offshore? Before we reveal that truth, let's first talk about what's really inside this deal. The US is sending over 1,000 Mk-82 bombs to Nigeria. Each one weighs 500 pounds. Along with that, there are Paveway 2 kits. These are laser-guided systems that attach to the bombs. They help them hit more exact targets, instead of just dropping and hoping. The deal also includes 5,000 APKWS rockets. These are smaller but smart. They're meant for hitting vehicles, buildings, or people with more control. Other parts in the deal are fuses, cartridges, and practice bombs. These are needed to make the weapons work or to train with them. There's also full support from the US side, including help with using the weapons, storage, and repairs. American contractors and government teams will handle that. All of this is made to work with Nigeria's A-29 Super Tucano planes. These are light attack aircraft that the US gave them before. They're already set up to carry these kinds of weapons. This deal doesn't include planes or helicopters. It's all about the weapons and the support that goes with them. And there are a few major reasons behind this deal. First, Nigeria is still America's strongest military partner. In the last 3 years, the US has lost major ground across West Africa. One by one, key regional players have turned away. In Mali, a coup in 2021 led to the suspension of Western cooperation. Soon after, the ruling junta brought in Russian mercenaries from the Wagner Group, effectively replacing French and Allied support. Burkina Faso took a similar path. After its own military takeover in 2022, the government cut ties with France, expelled foreign troops, and opened the door to new military deals, including with Russia and Turkey. Then came Niger, once considered the US's most stable partner in the Sahel. For years, the US operated drone missions from Airbase 201 in Agadez, a massive facility that cost over $100 million to build. But after a coup in mid-2023, Niger's junta revoked the military agreement and ordered US troops to leave.
The National Council for the Safeguarding of the Homeland has decided to denounce the cooperation agreements in the field of security and defense with France.
That base and America's drone access across the region was shut down by August 2024. Those exits didn't just hurt surveillance, they crippled America's regional coordination and made it clear that soft influence is no longer enough to stay in the game. Out of all this, Nigeria is now the last large military force in West Africa that still works closely with the United States. The Nigerian armed forces operate across land, air, and sea. With over 200,000 personnel, they've been one of the few regional militaries to keep pressure on Boko Haram and ISWAP. More importantly, Nigeria still hosts US-trained personnel. Its Air Force uses US-supplied A-29 Super Tucano aircraft. Its senior officers continue to attend US military schools and briefings. This is not a transactional relationship. It's a system built over 2 decades of joint planning, shared intel, and co-developed doctrine. That structure doesn't exist anywhere else in the region anymore. Washington knows it. This arms deal is a reinforcement, a message from the US saying, "You're still our key player, don't drift, we're still invested." That's the main reason the US is still investing heavily in this partnership. Because without Nigeria, there's no reliable ally left in a region that's becoming harder to control and even harder to predict. But still, that's not the full story. Nigeria also has something else the US cares about: oil and the ocean that moves it. The Gulf of Guinea, off Nigeria's coast, is one of the busiest oil routes in the world. Millions of barrels of oil pass through it every day. That oil doesn't just power Nigeria, it powers Europe, the US, and the global market. But this route isn't safe. For years, pirate gangs have attacked ships, stolen crude oil, and kidnapped workers. At one point, this area was called one of the most dangerous places in the world for oil tankers. There are no US naval bases nearby, no NATO patrols. If something goes wrong in those waters, it's up to Nigeria to fix it. That's why this new US weapons deal matters here too. The precision bombs and rockets in this package can help Nigeria launch accurate, fast strikes on pirate camps or armed smugglers without relying on outside military help. This gives Nigeria more control over its waters and gives the US what it wants, stability, without having to send its own ships. There's also a bigger play behind the scenes. Russia has been trying to gain naval access in West Africa. China has already invested heavily in oil terminals and deep sea ports across the region. And this deal is the only thing that can keep global rivals out. By strengthening Nigeria's ability to guard the Gulf, the US protects its own energy interests and sends a message. This route is still under Western watch. These are the things the US shows on paper. But there's a darker political side that nobody is talking about. That political side is working with Nigeria's president, Bola Tinubu. Tinubu came into power in 2023 after a tight and controversial election. And there are rumors that the US helped him become president. Since then, he's been under pressure from all sides. Rising insecurity, a struggling economy, court challenges, and constant criticism from the opposition. But through all of it, one thing hasn't changed. He's kept the US close. His government is still attending security meetings with US officials. The military is still using American equipment, and there's been no move to shut down cooperation or switch sides. That steady relationship is part of why this deal happened. Washington sees Tinubu's government as someone they can still work with, someone who hasn't pushed them out. For Tinubu, it works both ways. This deal helps him show he still has international support. It also gives his government stronger tools to fight the violence spreading across parts of the country, especially in the north. It gives him leverage at home and quiet backing abroad. There's one more thing most people don't talk about. Tinubu's name has been linked to a decades-old drug-related money seizure case in the US. No charges were ever filed, but the documents exist, and they've come up again recently. Still, the US approved this deal without raising it as an issue. That silence shows that, right now, the US is more focused on keeping the relationship steady than reopening old questions. Because Washington understands one thing very clearly. If they lose Bola Tinubu, they could lose Nigeria too. And with so much already slipping out of reach in the region, they're not ready to take that risk. So what do you think? Is this just smart diplomacy or quiet compromise? And how far will Washington go to keep Nigeria in its corner? Share your thoughts below. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you in the